Okay, yesterday we talked about the equivalent forms of various numbers. Remember I talked about having $150 pennies. And 150 pennies is also the same as having 150 of this amount. What amount would I have? 150. Nope. If I had 150 pennies in my pocket, think about, first of all, how much is a penny worth? Look at your place value chart if you need to. And if I had 150 pennies, I would have 150. Okay, I might have $1.50, but that would be a $1 bill and some dimes. I just have pennies though. So what do I have? I have 150 pennies, but let's talk about place value. What would that be? No, because I don't have any dollar bills in my pocket. I just have pennies. Well, no, if I had 150 tenths, that'd be 150 times 10, which would give me too much. So if I had 150 pennies, that would equal 150 ones, which would be $150. No. Think about the place value chart. Is a penny worth a tenth? No. Everybody, what is a penny worth? Everybody. How many pennies make up $1? 100 pennies make up $1, so that means if I have 150 pennies in my pocket, how many hundredths do I have right now? Everybody. 150. So if I have 150 pennies in my pocket right now, I have 150 hundredths, right? But let's say that I want to get rid of all these pennies. What could I exchange it for? I have 150 pennies right now, so I have 150. Everybody, how much do I have? 150 hundredths. What could I exchange that for? Hmm? 100 ones? Well, so if I gave you 150 pennies, could you give me 100 ones? I would love that. That'd be a great bonus. You would be like the best banker in the world. I would love that. What do you think?
I think I should exchange it for $1.02.
Okay, but let's keep it like this. So I could get $1 out of that, couldn't I? Because how many pennies make up $1? 100. So do I have a whole dollar here? Yeah, so I could get $1 out of that, couldn't I? Could I get any dimes out of that once, wonder how many dimes I could get out of that. So I have 50 left over. How many dimes could I get?
5.
Okay, make sure you're paying attention and not drawing on your place value chart right now, because if your lid is off your marker, and you're not looking up here, it's going to be like, oh my goodness, I'm a deer standing in the road and there's a car coming and I have no idea what to do. And I just hope that car doesn't hit me, but it's going to hit me because I'm not paying attention right now. So, nothing should be in your hands, and your eyeballs should be up here. Okay? You guys don't get markers for toys, you get them for tools. So I have, does that equal $1.50? What I have on the next row down? Mm-hmm. What if I just wanted to make all of that into dimes? 150 into dimes. How many tenths would I have?
15 dimes.
So, do you mean to tell me if I have 150 pennies, it's the same as this and it's the same as this? Are they all equal? Give me a thumbs up if they're all equal. 150 hundredths is the same as 1 and 50 tenths and 15 tenths. Give me a thumbs up if that's all equal. You can't give me a thumbs up if you got markers in your hands. Okay. So write this on your place value chart. Today you're going to learn about this word called decomposing numbers. Who can read that number to me? 1 and 35 hundredths. Now they have this huge method that you can use, and it could be a little overwhelming. So I'm going to just kind of show you what I would do. So you might want to pay attention to what I would do, because if you Google this, they're going to show you something maybe slightly different. How many ones do I have in this number? How many ones? I have 1, right? And then I have 3 tenths and 5 hundredths. How many tenths do I have? Put your markers down, put your lids on them. How many tenths do I have? 13. And I still have how many hundredths? 5. How many hundredths do I have now? 18. How many hundredths? 'What did you notice in the pattern as I was going along just now? What did you notice? I was scrunching the numbers together. Okay?
The numbers stayed the same.
The numbers stayed the same all the way through. Yep.
You group them together as you went to the right.
Okay, so as I went to the right, what did I keep picking up? Numbers, right? Is 135 hundredths the same as 13 tenths and 5 hundredths? Everybody? Yes. Is 135 hundredths the same as 1 and 35 hundredths? So decomposing basically is taking a number, moving it to the next place over. Okay, so if I have this number, go ahead, you can write that on your board. If I have the number 155, and I want to decompose this number, well, it's already pretty much decomposed with the first number, so let's move to the next line down. What's the second place in our number? We started with hundreds, now we're going to move over to what place, everybody?
Tens.
We're going to move over to tens, but when we move over to tens, we're going to pick up a number. What are we going to pick up?
You are going to pick up the 5.
No. Huh?
The 1.
The 1. So, I'm going to just go ahead and pick up the 1 because 15 hundreds is the same as 15 tens. And how many ones do I still have left? Because I don't want to forget that next number. How many ones do I have left? 5. Can we crunch again? You keep crunching, people, until all the numbers are in one box. So it's a squeeze, 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 squeeze. What is that? To the right, to the right. Yeah. Okay. What am I going to do? I'm going to the ones place now. Do you notice what happens to the boxes below these? What do they start doing? They start, the X's start moving to the right, don't they? I can do one more crunch. Hmm? Well, okay, so I'm going to move my 5 down that I have, but what do I need to pick up? The 1 and the 5, so I'm going to pick up 15. Can I scrunch that anymore? No. Raise your hand if you can tell me what this is called. Crunching numbers. What is it called? Decomposing. Everybody, what's it called?
Decomposing.
Come on, like you mean it, people.
Decomposing.
Thank you. When I decompose numbers, what am I doing? I am
Crunching them together.
crunching them together. What direction am I moving? To the?
Right.
To the right. Okay, you're going to decompose this number and see what you get. Who can read that number to me? 4 and 381 thousandths. I have 4 ones, 3 tenths, 8 hundredths, and 1 thousandths. If you didn't have this on a place value chart right now, you would have to write each place. So, remember, to decompose a number, we're going to crunch it. And we start with the very first number. So, my very first number is going to move in with the next number. If it moves in with the next number, we now have how many numbers in the next place over? Show me with your fingers. If my first number moves in with my second number, they're going to share a room together. How many numbers will be in the next space over? So, here's my first number. My first number is getting kicked out of their space. So they're going to go over to their next door neighbor and knock and say, "Can I come move in with you?" And the next door neighbor is really nice, so he's going to say, "Sure, move on in." So, whoops. So they're going to move in together. But we have a whole strip of apartments, and so the next two people still live by themselves. Well, there was a problem in the place that these two people shared. So what'd they do? They went next door, they knocked on the door, and they said, "Can we come stay with you?" And that person said, "Sure, you can come stay with me." So now, how many people are staying in the third place? 3. We've got 3 people over here now. We've got the number 4, 3, and 8. But who's still living by themselves? 1 still all by themselves and loving every minute of it. But the one got lonely because he's all by himself. He's at the end. He said, "Man, I wish I had more people here with me." So the people next door said, "Well, we can help you out. How about we move in with you?" And the person next door said, "Sure, move on in." So now we have how many people living in the last apartment? We have 4 people living there because they kept asking each other, "Can I move in with you? Can I move in with you? Can I move in with you?" And eventually we have all of them in one apartment. What do we call that? Decomposing, everybody. Decomposing. We'll try another one. Let's try. So think about how they moved over. You only have one neighbor moving in with each person at a time, but as each apartment empties out, you have to remember to move everybody out. They can't just stay there, okay? You can't just leave one person behind. If everybody in that apartment's moving, they all have to move to the person next door. So I don't know if we're going to have enough space for all this or not. Okay, I had to add a few more places to my place value chart because we need to decompose numbers and we need to remember to decompose all of them and have enough space for it. So, if I go start, if you're getting confused about this, you could automatically start like this. If this is confusing to you, start like this. So before you do anything, just automatically. Okay, I put 2 X's there. How many X's am I going to put on the next row down? 3. So draw it on your board. Draw it. So everybody should be drawing X's on your board, because if you're getting confused with this, then before you do anything, just draw your X's. What do you notice about the X's? The first row has 1 X, the next row has 2, the next row has 3. How many am I going to put on the next row? 4. How many am I going to do on the next row? 5. So if you can count, and how many am I going to put on the last? It's not going to work. But if I had an extra box down below, how many would I put? Actually, I don't need an extra box down below because I'm in the last space. So my final number is going to go there. So if I start out putting the X's, you just put 1 and then it just grows. Now I've noticed a lot of you guys are leaving off the neighbors. You can't leave off the neighbors. They still have to live on the block. So I have a 1 here. I'm going to bring it down. What happens to the 1 in front? What happens to the 1 in the very front? What do you think, ma'am? What am I going to do with that one? It can't come down, so what's it going to do?
It has to you have to put another 1 right there.
Right where?
Beside the 1 on
Okay, this one has no place to go, so it's going to come over here and join this one, right?
Yep.
But what do I do with the neighbors?
You just put the numbers below.
Just bring them down. Well, look below the numbers. Bring them down. What happens to my 11? It has no place to go. You can't bring it down, so what are you going to do? Move it next to the 5. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to bring down all the numbers. But I can't bring down the 115 because there's an X under it. So where do I put it? Back row, one of you guys. Where do you think I'm going to put it? Where am I going to move that 115? Okay, if I move it over one place, what's it going to be under? Under the 3. Good. Bring down all the numbers again. I shouldn't have chosen a color. I can't bring down the 1,153, so what do I have to do with that number?
You're going to have to move the 1,153 down to the 7s.
Boy, that apartment's filling up, isn't it? They're going to have a real party going on at the end here. So, I bring down my last number, right? Can I bring down the 11,537? Can I bring it down? I can go straight down with it. Why can't I go straight down? Because it has an X, but they have to have some place to go, so where are they going to go?
It's going to go next to the 6.
Wow. So in the number 115 and 376 thousandths, how many tens do I have? How many tens do I have in that number? How many tens are in 115 and 376 thousandths? How many tens? How many tens? Taking it one step further now. Look at my tens place. How many do I have? What do you think? 2. Yeah. Look at the tens place, guys. 1. Well, if I have it all in standard form, I would have 1, but talk about how many total tens do I have in that number? 11. So this number has 11 tens. How many total tenths do I have in this number? How many total tenths? Now, I'm not asking you to read the number. I'm asking how many total tenths do I have? How many total tenths do I have? What do you think? Look at it, turn and tell your neighbor. How many total tenths do I have? Total tenths. Hopefully you guys told your neighbors the right answers, because I'm going to draw a stick. Do. Okay, ready, people? Number 15. How many total tenths do you think I have in that number? 11? Tenths. So, go down your tenths column. How many total do you have? 3. Let me try some more. Let's see. How about number 6? What do you think? How many total tenths are in that number? 1. Perfect. Because I can look at this and know that I have 1,153, everybody? Tenths in this problem. Okay, I want you to decompose this number, and once you're done, I want you to tell me how many total hundredths this number has. So, okay, number 13. How many total hundredths do I have in this number? 854 hundredths, she says. Well, let's see if she's right. So we're going to decompose this number. Remember, we move the first one over, and this becomes, everybody, what's this going to become? 85 tenths. What do I do with my neighbors? Bring them down. What's going to go down below? Move the first two numbers over to the third number. And bring the last number down. Move these over. How many hundredths total do I have? 854 hundredths plus 6, everybody? Thousandths. Okay, so when you're talking about addition, you would say 854 hundredths plus 6 thousandths would give me 8 and 546 thousandths. So, give me a thumbs up if you're feeling pretty good about the decomposing of numbers. Give me an if you're not quite sure still yet. It's still a little painful, but I think you're getting it maybe. Raise your hand if you could tell me the number that we have been talking about pretty much this whole year. It's our superhero. It's the number 10. Because every time you move over a place, you are moving 10. To the right, to the left. It's always 10, right? Well, let's say I want to know what's halfway between 10. What is 10 divided in half? 5. So you mean to tell me that it's possible that if I were to just move halfway over, instead of moving 10, I might move 5 if I want to go halfway over? If I want to go all the way, I would go 10. So basically, I would have something like this. This would be 10. What would halfway over be? 5. So every single one of these boxes equals 10. But what's halfway over? 5. So we have the superhero 10